The phone wouldn't stop buzzing in my pocket, but I couldn't exactly answer it while my boss was in the middle of reaming me out. I just kept my head down, pretending I didn't feel the vibrations against my leg. When he finally ran out of steam and stormed off, I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. I pulled out my phone and saw a name on the screen that was both familiar and a little foreign. Haley. How long had it been? A year? 2. I walked down to the end of the hall and called her back. Cole. Her voice was as bright as I remembered, with that same sweet cadence, but there was something new layered on top of it now, something I couldn't quite place. Hey, Haley. Sorry, I was in a meeting. I lied, leaning against the wall, the exhaustion of the day suddenly hitting me. Figured you were busy. It's nothing big. I just wanted to let you know. I'm getting engaged next month. She said it as casually as if she were telling me the weather. My brain stalled for a second. Engaged? To who? You don't know him. His name is Ryan. He's really good to me. She paused. You'll come, right, Cole? My throat felt dry. I cleared it. Of course. Definitely. Just text me the time and place. After we hung up, I stared out the window for a long time. The Chicago skyline was a jagged mess of steel and glass, cutting the sky into weird, geometric shapes. My mind flashed back to a little girl with pigtails, tugging on the hem of my shirt. Her face flushed as she looked up at me and declared, Cole, when I grow up, I'm going to marry you. Back then, I just thought she was an annoying little kid. Now, that annoying little kid was marrying someone else. I tried to smile, but my mouth wouldn't cooperate. Haley and I were neighbors, the kind of kids who grew up in each other's backyards. She was 5 years younger than me, and from the moment she could walk, she was my shadow. When I started elementary school, she'd throw tantrums at her daycare, demanding to go with me. When I was in middle school, I'd see her clinging to the chain-link fence of her own school, watching for me to walk by. By the time I got my acceptance letter and left our small Ohio town for college, Haley had blossomed into a teenager. The day she came to see me off at the bus station, her eyes were red and puffy. You have to come home a lot, Cole, she'd said, clutching my suitcase. I know. Let go, the bus is leaving. I was desperate to get away, to start my real life. Looking back, that was probably the beginning of the end for us. College was a blur of finding my footing, dating, video games, failing class, and then passing in summer school. My calls with Haley got less and less frequent, from once a week to once a month, until eventually I only saw her when I came home for Thanksgiving or Christmas. Every time I came back, I noticed how much she'd changed. She was taller, more graceful, and she'd lost the boisterous energy of her childhood. But the way she looked at me, that never changed. Her eyes were still bright with an open, undisguised affection. The winter break of my senior year, I got dumped. My girlfriend of 2 years left me for some trust fund kid, breaking up with me over text. I holed up in my childhood bedroom, wanting to see no one. Haley showed up with a hot pizza. Cole, my mom made her famous deep dish. Your favorite, with extra pepperoni. She set the box on my desk, looking at my pathetic form curled up on the bed. Not hungry. I mumbled into my pillow. She sat on the edge of the bed and nudged me. Is she really worth all this? What do you know about it? I snapped, turning away. I don't know anything, she said, her voice soft but firm. But I know if it were me, I would never, ever do that to you. I sat up and really looked at her. At 19, Haley was beautiful. Her features were delicate, her skin clear. She wasn't the snot-nosed kid who used to follow me around anymore. I took a slice of pizza and started eating. As she watched me, she suddenly said, Cole, do you remember how I used to say I was going to marry you? I almost choked. That was just kid stuff, Haley. I wasn't kidding. She looked straight at me, her gaze unwavering. I was always serious. In that moment, it hit me, clear as day, that what this girl felt for me was a universe away from a sisterly crush. But I chose to play dumb. I ruffled her hair, a classic Big Brother move. You're a silly kid. You'll meet someone you really like someday. The light in her eyes dimmed for a second, but then it was back. She didn't say anything else. She just watched me finish the pizza, then took the empty box and left. That was the last time she ever told me how she felt so directly. I ended up taking a personal day and heading back to my hometown a day early. Stepping out of the train station, the air smelled familiar and strange at the same time. The town had changed, more condos, wider streets, but the slow, unhurried rhythm of the place was the same. Instead of going home, I dragged my suitcase to the old diner we used to love. Mel's was still there, and Mel was still behind the counter, just with more gray in his sideburns. "One Widowmaker burger, extra jalapenos," I said, sliding into a booth. Mel looked up, did a double take, and broke into a grin. "Cole, haven't seen you in a dog's age." "Yeah, work's been crazy," I said with a weak smile. The burger arrived, steaming and fragrant. I picked it up and was about to take a bite when I remembered how I used to bring Haley here. She'd always steal the pickles off my plate and then meticulously pick all the onions out of her own burger and push them onto mine. "Here's your orders, sir." A familiar voice came from above me. I snapped my head up. Haley was standing there, holding a small plate of onion rings. "What are you doing here?" I asked, stunned. "Helping Mel out. He's short-staffed today." She put the plate down in front of me. "These are on the house." She slid into the booth across from me, resting her chin in her hands and smiling. "I heard you got in yesterday. Why didn't you call me?" I looked down at my burger. "Just wanted to crash for a day. I'll see you at the party tomorrow." "Afraid it would be awkward to see me before?" she asked, tilting her head. The bite of burger went down the wrong way, and I started coughing. Why had she gotten so direct? She handed me a napkin, her expression unreadable. "You haven't changed a bit, Cole. Still get flustered so easily." "You've changed a lot." I looked at her, the tasteful makeup, the poised way she held herself. It was hard to connect this woman with the little girl who cried at the drop of a hat. "People grow up," she said with a shrug, then stood. "Well, I've got to get back to it. See you tomorrow." I watched her walk away, a weird, unsettled feeling churning in my gut. When I got home, my mom was in the kitchen. She wiped her hands on her apron when she saw me. "Did you see Haley?" was the first thing she asked. I nodded, ran into her at Mel's. Mom sighed. "Such a wonderful girl. What a shame." "A shame about what?" I dropped my bag. "A shame you don't have the sense God gave a goose." She shot me a look. "That girl waited for you for years, and you did absolutely nothing." "Mom, what are you talking about?" I frowned. "We're like brother and sister. Give me a break." "Anyone with eyes could see how that girl felt about you," she said, shaking her head. "It's only in the last couple of years that she finally started to move on. This Ryan guy, I hear he's a good man. Treats her well." I didn't answer. I just took my bag to my old room. It was a time capsule. My shelves were still lined with high school textbooks and SAT prep books. I pulled out a photo album and flipped it open. There were dozens of pictures of me and Haley. One stood out. It was from my high school graduation. Haley was only 13, in a ponytail and her middle school uniform. Standing so close to me, she was practically glued to my side, beaming. On the back, in childish handwriting, it said, "Me and Cole forever." I closed the album, a complicated mix of feelings washing over me. I had to admit it. For all these years, I'd taken her for granted. I was used to her being there, used to her looking at me like I was the only person in the world. Even as I consciously kept my distance, there was a part of me that was sure she'd always be there, right where I left her, waiting for me to turn around. Now, that certainty was gone. That night, my old buddy Dave, we called him Fat Dave back then, called and dragged me out for a drink. After a few whiskeys, Dave slung his arm around my shoulder. "So, heard Haley's getting engaged, man." I nodded, taking a sip. "Dude, what is wrong with you? You obviously care about her. Why didn't you ever make a move?" Dave shook his head. "She's a great girl. Everyone in our group thought you two would end up together." "Don't be ridiculous," I mumbled. "I've always just seen her as a little sister." "Oh, bull," Dave snorted. "Remember sophomore year of college? Some guy wrote Haley a love letter, and you found out and drove 3 hours back here to find the kid and threaten him. Is that what a brother does?" I froze. I hadn't thought about that in years. Haley had been a freshman in high school. She'd called me, crying, terrified because some upperclassman had slipped a note in her locker. I was in the middle of a lecture. I walked out, got in my beat-up Civic, and drove straight home to have a talk with the guy. Thinking about it now, I guess I did overreact. I just didn't want her to get distracted from her schoolwork, I said, the excuse sounding lame even to me. Dave just laughed. "Keep telling yourself that, buddy." I drank too much that night. When I got home, I lay in bed and, like a masochist, opened Instagram and looked up Haley's profile. Her most recent post was from the day before. A picture of 2 hands, fingers intertwined. The caption read, "The rest of my life starts now." The comments were filled with congratulations from our mutual friends. I stared at that picture for a long time, a dull, ache starting somewhere deep in my chest. Haley's engagement party was at a nice hotel downtown. The ballroom was already crowded when I got there. I spotted her immediately. She was wearing a pale pink dress, standing next to a tall guy in a sharp suit, laughing at something he'd said. It was the first time I'd ever seen Ryan. He was handsome in a clean-cut way, with gold-rimmed glasses that made him look smart and professional. "Cole, you made it." Haley's face lit up when she saw me. She pulled Ryan over. "Ryan, this is Cole, the guy I'm always telling you about. My big brother." Ryan extended a hand, his smile perfectly polite. "Good to finally meet you. Haley's told me so much. Thanks for looking out for her all these years." I shook his hand. His grip was firm, his palm not too hot or too cold. Just like the man himself, perfectly calibrated, impossible to find fault with. I should have been happy for her. She'd found a great guy who clearly adored her. But for some reason, all I felt was sick to my stomach. I was seated at a table with our old high school friends. Dave leaned over. "See that guy? Total power player. I heard he's a project manager at some big tech firm. Makes bank." He made a gesture with his hand. I didn't say anything. I just drank. The ceremony started. The host called the happy couple to the front. Ryan took Haley's hand and recited his vows, his voice steady, his eyes locked on her. They looked like a magazine ad. When it was Haley's turn, she took the mic, her gaze sweeping over the crowd before it landed on our table. "I'm so happy to be standing here today," she said, smiling. "Thank you to all our friends and family for coming. And I want to give a special thanks to Cole. He's always looked out for me, ever since we were kids." Every head in the room turned to me. I had no choice but to raise my glass and force a smile. "When I was little," she continued, "I used to follow him around everywhere, telling anyone who would listen that I was going to marry him someday. I didn't know what love was back then. I just thought wanting something meant it would be yours forever." Her voice was calm, tinged with nostalgic amusement. "But now I understand that some things are more beautiful when you leave them as memories. I'm so grateful to have had a brother like him in my life, and I hope he finds his own happiness very soon." My throat tightened. I was gripping my glass so hard I thought it might shatter. After the ceremony, Haley and Ryan made their rounds. When they got to our table, everyone started shouting for me and the new fiancé to do a shot. Ryan raised his glass with a smile. "Cole, to you. Thank you for entrusting me with such an amazing girl." I stood up and we clinked glasses. I looked Ryan in the eye and said, "Haley can be stubborn sometimes. You have to be patient with her." Ryan looked a little surprised, then he smiled. "Of course. She hates cilantro, but she likes the flavor it leaves in a dish," I went on. "So she'll always pick it out, but you can't make the dish without it." The mood at the table shifted. Dave kicked me under the table. Ryan's smile was a little thinner now. "I'll keep that in mind. And she's scared of the dark, so she needs a night light," I said, oblivious to the awkwardness. "And don't let her sit right under the AC vent in the summer. She gets colds easily." "Cole." Haley cut me off. Her voice was quiet, but it sliced through the air. "Ryan knows all of that." I looked at her, suddenly speechless. Ryan put his arm around her shoulder. He smiled at me. "Thanks for the pointers. I'll take good care of her." After they left, Dave leaned in. "What the hell was that, man?" I just shook my head, not saying a word. I didn't know what had come over me. The words just tumbled out. After the party, I was waiting for an Uber out front. The night air was cool, sobering me up a little. "Cole." Haley's voice came from behind me. I turned. She was wearing Ryan's suit jacket over her dress. "Where's your fiancé?" I asked. "He's saying goodbye to some family. You waiting for a ride?" I nodded. We stood in silence for a moment. "Thanks for coming today," she said softly. I looked out at the streetlights. "Haley," I asked suddenly, "are you happy?" She seemed taken aback for a second. Then a genuine smile spread across her face. "Of course I am. Ryan's a wonderful man. We just fit." "Good," I said. "That's good." "My ride's here," she said. I opened the car door for myself. "Cole Archer." She said my full name for the first time all day. I turned back. "I'm all grown up now," she said, her eyes shining in the dark. "I have to have my own life." I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. "I know," I said. "Get in the car." As the door closed, I saw Ryan walk up and pull her into his arms. She looked up at him and smiled, a smile so bright and real it hurt to look at. The car pulled away, and the image of them faded into the night. Back in Chicago, I tried to bury myself in work. I volunteered for the toughest projects, pulling all-nighters, living on coffee and takeout. My boss was thrilled. My coworkers started avoiding me. Only I knew the truth. I was terrified of stopping. The moment I had a free thought, my mind would conjure Haley's face at the engagement party, her voice saying, "I have to have my own life." 3 months later, my phone rang late one night at the office. It was Haley's mom. "Cole, it's Haley. She's in the hospital," she said, her voice choked with tears. My blood ran cold. "What happened?" "Acute appendicitis. She just got out of surgery. She told me not to call you, but Ryan's out of the country on a business trip. He can't get back right away, and I didn't know who else to call." "Which hospital?" "I'm on my way." I booked the next train out without even packing a bag. It was 2 in the morning when I got to the hospital. Haley was asleep, her face pale against the white pillow. Her mom was dozing in the chair beside the bed, her eyes swollen. "Aunt Mary, go home and get some rest," I whispered. "I'll stay." After she left, I sat in the chair and just watched Haley. She was sleeping fitfully, her brow furrowed. I remembered when she was little and sick, she looked just like that, her small hand clutching my shirt, refusing to let me leave. Back then, I thought it was a hassle. Now, I'd do anything to see her well again. Around 4, she woke up. When she saw me, she blinked a few times. "Cole, what are you doing here?" I helped her sit up and handed her a cup of water. "Your mom called me." "I told her not to," she mumbled, taking a sip. "What, afraid I'd worry?" I tried to joke. She didn't answer. The room fell silent. "Does Ryan know?" I asked. "Yeah, I called him. He said he'll get back as soon as he can." She put the cup down. "Cole, thanks for coming, but I'm fine now. You should go back to work." I looked at her. "Haley, have we really grown so far apart that you can't even let me be here for you?" She flinched, looking down at her hands. "It's not that. I don't want to be a bother anymore." "What if I told you that you were never a bother?" I said quietly. She looked up, a flicker of something in her eyes, but it was gone as quickly as it came. She gave me a weak, sad smile. "You always do this, Cole." "Do what?" "You always give me a little bit of hope, right, when I'm about to let you go," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "But I'm not that stupid little girl anymore." I was stunned into silence. Just then, the door opened and Ryan rushed in, looking exhausted. "Haley, how are you?" He went straight to her side, taking her hand. "How did you get back so fast?" she asked, surprised. "Rebooked on the first flight out." He touched her forehead. "Are you still in pain?" "Much better." She smiled, then looked at me. "Ryan's here now, Cole. You can go." I stood up and nodded to Ryan. "I'll get going then." He walked me to the door. "Thanks for being here for her." "Of course," I said. "She's like my sister." Walking out of the hospital into the cool dawn air, I looked up at the pale sky and felt utterly empty. She was right. I always reeled her back in just as she was about to swim away. I never realized how cruel that was. Now she'd finally learned to keep her distance, and I was the one who couldn't handle it. After Haley got out of the hospital, I went back to my life. I stopped working myself to death. I signed up for guitar lessons. I started hiking on weekends. I even let a coworker set me up on a blind date. The date was with a nice, quiet elementary school teacher. We had a decent time, but on our second date, she gently told me that she felt like my heart was somewhere else. I didn't deny it. I went on a few more dates after that. They all fizzled out. It wasn't that the women weren't great. It was that I couldn't stop comparing them to Haley. When Dave heard I was dating, he called me immediately. "What's gotten into you, man?" Finally seeing the light, I laughed humorlessly. "Just try to move on." Dave was quiet for a moment. "Cole, for real. Do you regret it?" "Regret what?" "Not telling Haley how you felt sooner." I didn't say anything. He sighed. "Well, it's too late now. They're getting married next month." "That fast?" The words caught in my throat. "Yeah, man. The invitations went out. You didn't get one." After I hung up, I checked my email. Sure enough, in my spam folder was an e-veet from Haley. I clicked on it. It was beautifully designed. In the main photo, she was radiant in a wedding dress, and Ryan was looking at her with pure adoration. I stared at the picture for a long time before closing the browser. I forced myself not to think about the wedding. I poured my energy into work and my new hobbies. I even started planning a trip to Europe. A week before the wedding, I got a call from an unknown number. "Is this Cole Archer?" a man's voice asked. "This is Ryan." I was completely blindsided. "Yeah, what's up? Can we meet? There's something I need to talk to you about." We met at a coffee shop. When Ryan walked in, I was already there. Want something? I asked. No, thanks. I won't be long. He sat across from me and got straight to the point. I know this is out of line, but I have to ask. Ask what? What, exactly, is the history between you and Haley? He looked me right in the eye, his gaze sharp. I frowned. Didn't she tell you? We grew up together. We're like brother and sister. Brother and sister? He let out a short, bitter laugh. Then why does she say your name in her sleep? I froze. Last week she had a fever. She was delirious. She kept mumbling, Cole, don't go. His voice was steady, but his knuckles were white where he gripped his briefcase. I tried to ignore it, but it's been eating at me. I had no idea what to say. Look, Ryan said, I'm not here to accuse you of anything. I just need to know where you stand. If you have feelings for her that are more than brotherly, I need you to say it now. I was silent for a long time. Finally, I looked at him. Ryan, I love Haley, but not in the way you're thinking. She's family. All I want is for her to be happy. He studied my face, tried to gauge if I was telling the truth. Finally, he nodded. Okay, I believe you. He stood up. I hope you'll still come to the wedding. After he left, I sat there for a long time. My mind was a slideshow of Haley. Haley with scraped knees, crying for me. Haley as a teenager, shyly showing me a Valentine she'd gotten. Haley at the bus station every time I came home from college. Her face lit up with joy. Haley at the engagement party, her voice calm and steady as she said, I'm all grown up now. I had always told myself it was simple. I was the protective older brother. But was it really that pure? If she was just my sister, why did it hurt so much to hear she was getting married? Why did I hate seeing her with another man? Why did I always pull her closer, right, when she was about to leave for good? I had no answers. The day before the wedding, I went home. I didn't tell anyone. I just walked around town, visiting the ghosts of our childhood. Our old elementary school, the arcade we used to waste our allowances in, the diner where we'd split a burger and fries. Most of the places were gone or completely changed. Finally, I ended up at the small park where we used to play. The swing set was rusted, and the sandbox was overgrown with weeds. I sat on a bench and lit a cigarette. I rarely smoked, and the harshness made me cough. Cole! I looked up. Haley was standing a few feet away, wearing a simple sundress, a look of surprise on her face. What are you doing here? We both asked at the same time, and we both laughed. Just taking a walk, I said. Shouldn't you be at home, getting your beauty rest for the big day? She sat down next to me. Needed some air. I put out the cigarette. After tomorrow, you'll be Mrs. Somebody else. She smiled faintly, but didn't say anything. We sat in a comfortable silence. Haley, I said suddenly, and this is just a hypothetical, if I hadn't always treated you like a little sister, do you think things would have been different? She froze, then turned to look at me, her eyes filled with a storm of emotions. Cole, do you have any idea how long I waited to hear you ask that? She let out a soft breath. But it doesn't matter anymore, does it? I nodded. No, it doesn't matter. The sun began to set, and the park lights flickered on one by one. I should get back, she said, standing up. You're coming tomorrow, right? I looked at her. Haley, can I have a hug? Just as a goodbye. She hesitated for a fraction of a second, then nodded. I pulled her into a gentle embrace. Her body was stiff at first, then it relaxed against mine. It was a brief hug, but it felt momentous. Take care of yourself, I said. You too, she whispered. There were tears glistening in her eyes, but she quickly turned and walked away without looking back. I watched until she disappeared into the dusk, and for the first time, I felt a sense of peace. The next day, I didn't go to the wedding. I took the first train back to the city. On the way, I sent Haley one last text. I wish you all the happiness in the world. Then I deleted her number. Some lines, once you cross them, you can never go back. And Haley and I were already on opposite sides. A year later, my life had found a new rhythm. I got a promotion. I adopted a cat. I went on dates. But I never felt that desperate, all-consuming need to be with someone again. Dave visited once and told me I'd changed. I was calmer, he said, but also lonelier. Loneliness is just part of being an adult. I told him. I heard bits and pieces about Haley. She'd moved to the city where Ryan lived. They were doing well. He spoiled her, and she'd quit her job to open a small flower shop. I could picture her there, surrounded by flowers. It seemed to fit. By a strange twist of fate, a project required me to travel to her city. After hesitating, I went. The work wrapped up a day early. Before heading to the airport, I found myself walking to the address Dave had given me for Haley's shop. It was a beautiful little place with a large glass window. I stood across the street, watching as she carefully trimmed the leaves from a bouquet of roses. She was wearing an apron, her hair tied up, her expression focused. Just as I was about to turn and leave, the shop door opened and Ryan walked in. He surprised her with a smoothie, and she rewarded him with a beaming smile. He leaned down and kissed her on the forehead. It was a perfect, happy scene. I turned and walked away. That night, in my hotel room, my phone rang. An unknown number. I almost didn't answer it. Hello, Cole? It's me. It was Haley. My heart skipped a beat. How did you get my number? I asked Dave, she said a little hesitantly. Were you at my shop today? I was shocked. How did you know? I saw someone across the street who looked a lot like you, she said. Since you were here, why didn't you come in? I paused. It was just a business trip. I was just passing by. The line went quiet. Are you doing okay? I asked. I'm great, she said, her voice even. The shop is doing well, and Ryan is wonderful to me. That's good. What about you, Cole? Do you have a girlfriend? Sort of, I said. It's new. Congratulations. Thanks. Another silence stretched between us. Well, I should go, she said. Okay. Just before I hung up, I said, Haley, I'm sorry. What for? For everything. For being annoyed with you when we were kids. For playing dumb when we were older. For making a scene at your engagement party. For not coming to your wedding. I took a breath. And most of all, for never telling you how important you were to me. There was a long pause on the other end. I thought she might have hung up. Then, very quietly, she said, You know, Cole, for a long time, I really hated you. I hated you for knowing how I felt and pretending you didn't. I hated you for showing up right when I needed you, only to disappear again the moment I thought I had a chance. Her voice was soft, but I don't hate you anymore, because I know you didn't do it on purpose. You didn't know how to love me. My throat felt tight. But that's all in the past, she said, her voice becoming brighter. I'm very happy now. Truly. I'm glad, I said. I'll let you go. Good night, Cole. Good night. I stood at the window for a long time after that, looking at the city lights. Every light was a story. The story of me and Haley had finally reached its end. Another year passed. My company opened a new branch in my hometown. My boss offered me the chance to run it. After thinking it over for a few days, I said yes. Life slowed down. I bought a house and moved my parents in with me. We spent weekends exploring the countryside. It was a quiet, peaceful life. I still heard about Haley sometimes. Her flower shop had expanded. She and Ryan had taken a trip to Italy. They were trying for a baby. I listened to the news with a calm heart. I was starting to understand that you don't have to possess something for it to be beautiful. Sometimes a memory is enough. One spring afternoon, I was near Haley's parents' house and decided to stop by. Her mom was thrilled to see me. As I was leaving, she said, Cole, wait, there's something I think you should have. She came back with an old metal box. This was Haley's from high school. She left it behind. I was cleaning out her closet and found it. There's something in here you might want to see. I took the box and thanked her. Back home, I opened it. It was filled with girlish treasures, barrettes, a diary, old photos. At the bottom was a thick envelope with the words letters for Cole written on the front. I hesitated, then opened it. Inside were 10 letters, one for every year from the time she was 13 until she was 22. I pulled out the first one, the handwriting still childish. Dear Cole, you left for college today. I cried, and you probably thought I was being a baby, but I couldn't help it. You promised you'd come visit all the time. You better keep your promise. I picked one from the middle. Dear Cole, you brought your girlfriend home today. She's pretty, but I don't think she's good enough for you. The way you smile at her makes my stomach hurt. I know it's wrong to feel this way, but I can't help it. And then the last one, dated the day before her engagement party. Dear Cole, tomorrow, I'm getting engaged. My hands are shaking as I write this. I have loved you for 16 years since I was 6 years old. How many 16 years does a person get? I used to think that if I was just patient enough, if I just tried hard enough, one day you would turn around and see me. But I know now that love doesn't work that way. Ryan is a good man. He loves me. He respects me, and he gives me the sense of security that you never could. So I'm letting go. I'm letting go of you, and I'm letting go of the girl who spent 16 years loving you. This is the last letter I will ever write to you. From now on, Haley has to start a new life. I read every single letter as the sun set and the room grew dark. I had never seen a person's heart laid so bare. I had never understood so clearly what I had lost. But strangely, I didn't feel pain, just a profound sense of regret, and then release. I put the letters carefully back in a box. They were Haley's youth, and they were a part of my story. They deserved to be kept, but not to be reread. When I was 35, I got married. Her name was Sarah. She was a new colleague at the branch, a few years younger than me, with a short, amicable marriage in her past. We started as friends, and it grew into something more. Sarah was smart, funny, and independent. Being with her was easy. She didn't need me to be her hero. We were partners, equals, and it was a relief. The wedding was small, just friends and family. A very drunk Dave clapped me on the shoulder. "It's about damn time," he said. I just smiled and clinked my glass against his. Married life was peaceful. Sarah wasn't a romantic type, but she was deeply caring. She ran our household with quiet competence and was wonderful with my parents. A year later, we had a daughter. I named her Annie. When Sarah asked if the name meant anything special, I said, "I just hope she always feels cherished." On the day of Annie's 1-month celebration, I got a call from a number I hadn't seen in years. It was Haley. "Congratulations on becoming a dad," she said, her voice warm. "Thanks. How'd you know?" "Dave, of course," she said. Can I come see the baby?" I glanced at Sarah, who was rocking Annie in her arms. "Of course." Haley came alone. She looked great, trim, stylish, and relaxed. She brought Annie a small silver locket and fastened it around her neck. "She looks just like you," she whispered, gazing at the baby. Sarah stood beside me, smiling politely, though I could see her studying Haley. We chatted for a bit. Haley now had 3 flower shops. Ryan's career was taking off, but they still didn't have children. "We found out it's a problem on my end," Haley said, with a surprising frankness. "We tried IVF a few times, but no luck. I guess it just wasn't meant to be." I didn't know what to say, but she just smiled. "It's okay. My shops are my babies now. I'm just glad to see you finally settled down." She looked at Sarah. "Your wife is lovely." "Thank you," Sarah said. Haley didn't stay long. On her way out, she asked, "Can I talk to you alone for a second?" We stepped into the hallway. "Seeing you this happy." "It makes me happy," she said, looking me straight in the eye. I nodded. "You too." She smiled. "Well, I should go." She turned and walked to the elevator. Just before the doors slid shut, she looked back. "Cole, if you could do it all over again, would you choose differently?" I thought for a moment, then shook my head. "No, life only moves forward. There are no do-overs." A slow smile spread across her face. "You're right." The doors closed. I stood there for a minute before going back inside. Sarah was standing in the living room, holding our daughter, waiting for me. "So, that was her," she said. "The girl from all the stories." I nodded. "She's very beautiful," Sarah said. "But you're mine now." I smiled and walked over, wrapping my arms around both of them. "Always." When Annie was 3, we went back to my parents' house for Thanksgiving. The house was loud and full of family. Annie, spoiled rotten by her grandparents, was already reciting nursery rhymes for the table. After dinner, I took her out onto the porch to watch some neighbors set off fireworks. She pointed at the sky, squealing with delight. "Daddy, look. Sparkles." "Yeah, baby girl. Sparkles." I held her close. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Haley. "Happy Thanksgiving." I replied, "You too." I put the phone away and went back to watching the sky with my daughter. Each firework exploded in a brief, brilliant bloom, then faded, just like the people who passed through our lives. Sarah came out and draped a jacket over my shoulders. "Mom made pumpkin pie. Come on inside." I nodded, scooping Annie up and carrying her into the warmth of the house. The TV was on, my parents were chatting on the sofa, and my wife was cutting slices of pie in the kitchen. In my arms, my daughter was chattering away in her toddler language. In that moment, I felt a deep, profound contentment. I thought a little girl with pigtails saying, "When I grow up, I'm going to marry you." I hadn't known then that some people are only meant to walk with you for a part of your journey. That real maturity isn't about getting what you always wanted, but about cherishing what you have, letting go of what you've lost, and wishing the best for those you once loved. Haley was my youth. She was the price of growing up, a lesson I had to learn. But Sarah and Annie, they were my present and my future. Mama pie, Annie said, pointing for my arms. Sarah laughed and brought her a small bite on a fork. Easy there, sweetie. I took my own slice. It was perfect. Outside, the fireworks lit up the night sky. I pulled my wife and daughter closer. This is it, I thought. This is good. All the regrets, all the what-ifs, they had finally faded away. The only thing that mattered was right here in my arms.